Here we go. Welcome. Hold on, is this working? I think this is working. Forever, I will be that guy, and I don't care. Welcome to the Art of Rock. First and foremost, as with every time, I would like to acknowledge the Tongva people as being the traditional landowners of Los Angeles, California. Shout out to the Shishumi and Yahoita peoples who are north and south of here. Art of Rock every Saturday morning, right here on Angelspit's Twitch. If you're seeing this on another thing, that's where it is. Although for some reason it's not doing it anymore because it's not sending text information to other fucking streaming things. I don't know. I was looking over the YouTube things that you are and are not allowed to say. We've broken almost every one of them. Just saying. And so thank you so much for not. I know that's a gold star for us. Really, and thank you for not canceling us. It really means a lot to us again. This is made brought to you by Angelspit's Patreon. Many of the members are here, and I'm very grateful. Thank you for being here, sincerely. I really mean that, Diana. Well, look, there you are in the chat as well. What's going on here? On February the 19th, we are doing another show. It's another live ambient show with Ice Planet 9000, an auto dealer at the LGBT Center in Hollywood. I've already done most of the set. It's going to be amazing. I might have a guest being on stage with me, but we'll see. I really hope that can happen. It's going to be a bloody good show. I'm very excited about this one. We're going to recreate Berlin 1976, 1974. That's what we're going to do, and we're going to boldly go. Industrial Incisions playlist, a whole bunch of awesome music that's on Spotify that I want you to go and listen to. It's fantastic, like the bands. And then listen to more of their stuff. Wednesday nights, Culture Vulture does his amazing deep dive into synths, and I was watching it the other night. It was fucking him. The dude came up with a song, a bitchin' song, in like 2 hours, live in front of everybody using a JX3P. Adam, it's good to see your face, or your dancing astronauts. And I did a video with Alex about dark ambient. It's bloody there, go get it. It's bloody there, go get it. English good me, yes. So more English good me, yes, is MTV TV. Today we're going to be we're going to get triggered. We're going to get angry. Everybody's going to get angry at each other that, oh, promotion's so hard. Not there, MTV TV. All you have to do is email them. Look at this. I'm even putting their email address in the chats. What's going on here? If you've got a video, send them the damn video and they're going to play it. Stuff's a bit backed up right now, but they will get to it. This shit's going on 24 hours a day. It's music from the dark side, the bleeding edge, blah, 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 Sith rock. Is Sith rock a thing? Should be.
It should be.
It should be. I want you to jump on that shit. Also, they've got a Patreon. I want you to support their Patreon. In fact, support their Patreon before you support my Patreon, because we've got to keep them going. Somebody else's Patreon I want you to support is Rezi.
Hey.
Thanks for being here. Thank you for being the co-host with the co-most.
It's a pleasure.
Almost sounds like a diss. And after we've done, it's not a diss, the co-most. I don't know what that means. Let's just go with it. After this, we're going to rate to MTV TV. Welcome. This is the Art of Rock. There's not too many people. Jen, welcome. Good to see your happy face. Okay. So I want to talk about Spotify. I also want to talk about the Hour of Power, because everybody's got one. I want to talk about Spotify. I've been enjoying, this is hard to verbalize. I've been enjoying a lot of the hate that Spotify are getting, rightfully so. Because of CEO owners, how much the CEOs make, how much they pay artists, blah, 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 blah. But I have a question, and that is because I'm a bit of a cyberpunk and I know all about cybotsus. Eliza Tentacle, welcome. We know about cybotsus, right? The concept of the warring corporations as laid down in Neuromancer, in the William Gibson 1985 novel, Cyberpunk, Neuromancer, where they're talking about corporations that go to war.
Oh.
Yeah, it's great. And this started Cyberpunk, and I'm watching this and I'm going, this is Cybotsu warfare. It's, okay, I have a theory. And my theory is that behind the slagging of Amazon is, of Spotify is Amazon. because I have been noticing that so many paths of, oh, Josh Rogan's on Spotify. Oh, we have to cancel Spotify. Jonah Mitchell, pull everything off Spotify and go to Amazon. I just noticed this influx of ads and everything else and push for Amazon Music. And firstly, understand that you are a musician, a composer, and you have the magical ability, more so than any other profession, to take thought, a little bit of hard work, and turn it into money. Since the beginning of time, musicians have been ass fucked by everybody. Record labels, people don't bitch about record labels anymore because they're not really around. But now we have streaming services for us to bitch about, which makes us very happy, because as musicians, we need to bitch and complain because we can't really make money for ourselves. We need someone between us and the audience because we're so useless at reaching out to the audience. We need a third middle person to be able to do it. And that's the job of that corporation. Remember, a corporation's job is to stick product in one end and get money out the other. And the product in this situation is your music. So we've got all of these corporations that are standing between you and your music. Yes, it's fucked, but that's just how it is. And it's how it's always been. And doesn't mean to say we can't change this. Why can't we have a P2P thing, for fuck's sake? Oh, no, wait, we did. And that ended well. Now, here's my question. Why isn't anybody talking about Amazon CEO income? Why isn't it? And what's the end game here? Like, do people want Spotify to be shut down, or do they want us to give us more money? Because that ain't going to happen. So my thought is that if Spotify gets shut down, musicians, and I'm not talking about Beyonce, I'm talking about who the fuck musicians like me, where 70% of my income is of my streaming income, which incidentally pays my rent, is coming from Spotify. Now, yes, money has gone down from Spotify, and it's interesting that I'm seeing reports saying Spotify have dropped the amount of payments to musicians, and that's interesting that it does correlate to the dip that I see. I am harboring Apple Music, Amazon, Tidal, and Pandora, but my problem that I always go back to with these other streaming services that you can get behind that pay you more money, they do nothing for promotion. They don't do a thing. They don't do well, they do, but it's crap. On Spotify, if I release a track and it gets picked up by their automated algorithm that throws it to people who have heard my music before, for about a week or two, maybe about a week, because that's kind of like, that's the typical bump of a release. That song is put in the feed of times 10, times 8 to 10 people that normally wouldn't see that music. Right? Now, the thing about it is, yes, with any bump, with any attack, decay, sustain, release, because it's the attack of how quickly they come in, the decay of how quickly it goes down, and then there's the sustain that might ember for years. During that attack decay period, that peak, which is about a week for a single, about 3 months for an album, for me, this is really good fucking information, by the way, I'm telling you right now. Yeah. In that time, it's not about the people who listen to it and then don't listen to it or not. It's about the saves. And I get so many saves, so many playlist ads that normally I wouldn't get. On Tidal's reaching out to other people, broadcasting thing, maybe I will get 20 or 30% more. Amazon's, I can't really tell from the numbers Amazon gives me, but it's not very much. Apple's doesn't exist, and Pandora's is nah. Pandora incidentally pays less than anyone else. Pandora pays, I think it's half than Spotify. I'm not sure. So here's my question, is that, what the fuck? That's my question, is that all of these people who are shitting on Spotify, it's like shitting on fucking Sony Music 20, 30 years ago. It's, what is the point? Are you really ultimately trying to hurt the bands? Because, look, man, Spotify doesn't cost me anything. It's not like SoundCloud. Oh, everyone loves SoundCloud. Oh, SoundCloud's so good. Who you have to pay to get royalties from if you don't pay SoundCloud, you don't get royalties, and that's pay for play. And can somebody please tell me the number? I heard it was about 1,000 plays a month. I could be wrong on that, before you start actually making money from them. And then there's all these places that, you know, if you want to post your track to it, oh, we don't take Spotify, but we'll take SoundCloud. What? And then, oh God, can we talk about Bandcamp's cut, please? Rezi, I see your hand. What do you want to throw in here?
Geez, I mean, you covered a lot, and I always have feelings about this. But one, I'm not prepped for it, and I need to reread everything I've ever read, like within 3 or 4 days of talking about it, to have anything really cogent to say. But one thing that I'm coming away with, I don't know why CEO 1 is getting dumped on and CEO 2 isn't. I mean, there's a revolution already happening apparently with people undeading. See, there's one of those code words so that YouTube
I
doesn't
love that
cancel
word.
it.
That's a fantastic word.
No, wait, unaliving. Oh, I fucked it up.
Unaliving.
I'm too old. Spotify is a machine to turn venture capital into profit for the labels. I don't think that a lot of the money that gets funneled through from subscribers is really what they care about yet. I mean, obviously they might be trying to, but they haven't turned a profit or anything. So looking at it from that standpoint, it makes more sense why they have to add features and why they have to reduce the amount that they pay out to the artist, and they have to have splashy, hyped, feature added looking things all the time, because it's just the way it works when you're trying to get investment. And the upshot is sometimes those metrics do face us independent artists, and that's kind of encouraging, and it makes it look like we need to be there, and they put the numbers right on the page, and there's these vanity pings, and you get the same kind of like fear of not participating that you get from other similar algorithmic like pull you in things. But I don't think that if there is a battle between Amazon and Spotify, that it's for music subscribers. I think it's going to be in the podcast thing, which I don't really give a fuck about, but that's where they stand to own something as corporations. They're just a retailer in the music space, and that's whatever, Amazon. Whereas if they take a piece of the podcasting, they stand to own pieces of the intellectual property, and maybe there's a thing there. I don't know. I'm just postulating because I haven't actually heard the battlefronts moving around. I thought that probably the worst thing that happened to podcasting was corporate involvement. I think it reduced the quality of the podcast. I think it reduced the uniqueness of the podcast. I think it definitely reduced the user experience on the platforms and stuff. And I think similar things could happen to music, but I'm really seeing the balance of if they're fighting about anything, it might be for ownership of intellectual property and in a studio system way or a label sort of way for that. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense, and I thank you. I want to add in two things here. Adam, I see your thing here. This is another huge conversation, which we're not going to have right now. It might bleed into it, being Spotify is getting flooded by AI and fake profiles that put different names on the same songs to drive playlist frauds and Spotify profits from. Yes, absolutely, but we're not having that conversation right now. But that's a conversation we do want to have, but not right now. And it's a very fucking important conversation. Here's another thing I want to bring up on the subject of bastards getting between you and your money only because you're too fucking useless to do it yourself, musicians. I'm not signed, so I don't give a fuck. It's really funny. I read this. And look, here's a piece of advice. Don't publish your raps. You know, when Spotify say you got listened to by this many people, don't publish it. And it's not about, I don't want to support Spotify. It's and definitely you should thank people who listen to you on Spotify, because those people might be feeling a bit guilty about it, you know? Hey, thank you for listening to my music. I don't care where you listen to my music. Thank you. If you want to really back it, buy it from me directly, because Bandcamp take their fucking cut too. And so does fucking Amazon, PayPal and everybody else in that transaction. but thank you. Didn't make any sense. I apologize. So I'm seeing somebody said, I got 1 million plays on Spotify for my song, and this is how much money I yield. And my question was, bitch, fucking, how much is your label taking from your streaming? How much does your label take? Like, and if streaming money means nothing, why are labels still taking 30 to 50%? Fucking why? If I scored 1 million streams, that would be several $1,000s for me. That's how much money I would walk from, because it's not just the Spotify ping, it's the ping that ripples out to everything else. FYI, my Apple is about a quarter-ish. It's between a quarter and a third. These numbers always move, man. It's a quarter and a third of what Spotify is. And, you know, so don't just be bitching at fucking Spotify. Maybe bitch at the labels as well. And maybe ask yourself, at the end of the day, the contractual duty of care, what are labels actually doing for you? What are they doing for you? Like, I'll say to a label, sure, man, I'll sign to you, but after 5 years, I get it back. If you want a cut of my streaming, but you must guarantee in the duty of care, in the contract, you must guarantee that within 2 months, and sustained, that my plays become doubled. Because if you don't, then that financially is not working for me. Then you're not doing your job. Hey, label, sign me. I want to make your life hell. Secondly, really interesting point about podcasts and music being the same thing. I don't know enough about that. It really is interesting how it's becoming radio. But I'm not sure, last I checked, podcasts don't get any payout at all. I do several podcasts onto Spotify. None of them get payout. None of them get any money at all whatsoever. There are some agitator services like Buzzsprout and several others, but you don't get paid for those motherfuckers. Sure. Yep, totally. Yes, Adam, you're absolutely right. There are no major labels. There are just people who are doing a crap job, who are doing absolutely nothing, and they're taking 50% of your money or 30% of your streaming. So this is very interesting. Brett, I see your hand.
Yeah, so I was just kind of doing a quick couple searches there. It looks like Amazon rolled out a service they call Delivered in 2024. And it's meant to straight up take on Spotify Wrapped. So what you're saying there about Amazon potentially having a dog in this fight, you know, is very, very real. And to think that they wouldn't expand it.
May I just?
Yeah.
So you call it Amazon Delivered.
Yeah.
In 2024 or 25.
Yeah, this is an article on TechCrunch. I'll share it.
Hold on. When did they say they're dropping this?
It's actually out.
I'm using it. If it's the one that I'm using it, I'm using it. And also, I think that it's Delivered might be pay for played. I'm not sure. But Amazon do have a pitch your shit to people thing like Spotify. And I'm using the free one because fuck those guys. I'm going to pay them anything. I have tried Spotify's pay for this shit, and it's bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. I use Amazon's, and that's what I was saying is that I don't have enough metrics in front of me to actually gauge. Oh my God, Spotify metrics are so fucking good. They are fucking incredible. You can plan a goddamn tour on the metrics. Like, they're fucking amazing. I'm not seeing the same level of detail in Amazon metrics, and I'm not seeing, like, I can't see playlist ads. There's a bunch of stuff that I can't see to the minute by minute updates that Spotify are giving me. And look, I've said this before and people don't like me for it, but I'll say it again. To do what Spotify doing, to do an ad campaign that is going to put your music in front of 10 times as many people would cost a lot of fucking money. but with Spotify, it's free. Don't get me wrong. I'm all about torturing. I'll tell you off camera what I'm all about doing to the CEOs. It does involve honey, maybe some oats, and some Barry White. Yeah. And they're going, oh no, stop. But I'll edit that bit out. But it's not as good as Spotify's. There is no major label. I can't risk taking a drink right now. Loz. Okay. I don't see any hands anymore. So that's my question. Is this really, at the end of the day, a Cybertsu warfare thing? Is it really? Come on, guys. We're cyberpunks. We're into conspiracies. Let's make a new conspiracy. And make this conspiracy all-encompassing. Like, maybe all of these corporations want to fuck musicians. Wow, who would have thought of that? Wow. What a new idea that is. Maybe they just want to make a monopoly. Wow, for the first time in music history, there's going to be a monopoly of a conglomerate between the musician and the people listening. Wow, my mind is blown. I know, right? That's why we got the Beatles, because everybody said, listen to the Beatles. Does anybody else want to talk about this, or do we talk about something else?
But from what I can see, just in a couple of quick searches, mind you, this wasn't something I was thinking of coming into this, but no, it would absolutely line up with capitalism and all that other good stuff. It's eat or eat and both.
So it's interesting. It's really interesting. Thank you, Brett. It's very interesting that I read somewhere someone saying, "Oh, we need to set up a goth thing for people to get bands out," and I went, "Wow, no one's thought of that yet, MTV TV." But my problem with somebody doing that, besides MTV TV, because hey, thank you MTV TV for not taking political sides, and thank you for saying we're going to play you because it's all about the music and it's not about the politics. Thank you. And by the way, if you don't know who the fuck I'm talking about, I'm just going to put it in the chats. So I read this. It was on Sounds and Shadows, actually. Sorry, Ken. And I was reading this thinking, well, it's a great idea to have a goth streaming service, although MTV TV do have podcast playlists. Spotify playlists. Thank you, MTV TV, again. But the problem you've got here is that, unfortunately, with goths comes gatekeeping. Is it goth enough? Is it industrial enough? Do we play this? Do we play that? I don't like that person's political point of view. Blah, blah, blah. Hey, wait a minute. Didn't that person have sex with a shoe once? Oh, we don't masturbate into shoes on this channel. That's not okay. Whereas MTV TV, if you masturbate into shoes, it's okay. And that's why they call it glue shoe. Let's. I haven't missed that. That was. And I don't get cancelled from. I don't get cancelled from YouTube because that clearly crossed the line. Except I didn't say anything about on LSD because that would have been too. Don't take drugs, kids.
Definitely don't sell a firearm while you do that.
Yeah. I actually stopped. I was gonna say something. Okay. Thank you. Does anybody else want to add in on this? Absolutely pointless conversation, but please.
COVID.
Oh, yeah.
We're just going for the YouTube buzzword generator today, ain't we?
We are. Thank you. Thank you. Diddy. I'm sorry. I'm not following. My girlfriend's all about that shit. It's like, I don't care. And then she shows me, it's like, I don't want to watch this. Thank you. Okay. So,
hey, Carl, are you getting your, metrics views directly from the sites that you're citing site-wise?
Yes, kind of. I also have, chart metrics.
Chartmetric. Yeah, I was just wondering if you're, they've been hard to read for me.
Yeah, I'm not Chartmetrics.
Yeah, it's a lot of data and doing the right filtering and making it compare what you want to compare. It's a lot of work. I don't have. I used to have an account. I don't have an account anymore.
You can go deep if you have an account, but it's like, and you can also spy on other bands,
Yeah,
which I love.
I mean, it's made for that. I've been thinking about maybe sharing an account. Is that a thing that gets you canceled on YouTube's streaming thing
Everything.
too?
If you share the account on acid while masturbating into a shoe,
Right. Right.
that will that'll get you canceled. But
Demonetized.
yes. Anyway, oh god, yeah, this is another fucking whitelisting. The amount of times I share something that's got an Angelspit or an Ice Planet 9000 song on my fucking profile, and it gets, oh, we can't play this because copyright issues, and it's like, I understand what they're doing and why they're doing it, but it's like, oh fuck, I don't want to have the conversation unless somebody wants to have the conversation. Yeah, a Super Tablespoon, you are among the cancelled, so you are most welcome here. Above all, there is intellect and art. Do we want to change? Do we want to change conversation here?
I know there's a ton more to talk about what you're
We
talking
could
about.
gladly. I
It's just
feel like
it's one of these things where I feel like some facts are really important that I feel like
agree.
I don't have.
But here's the issue: is that the facts are changing every fucking week because the algorithm and the play and all that bullshit is playing every week. Let me finish really quickly. A piece of advice: a guy from a band called Icon, Chris MacArthur, Australian Icon, fantastic band. He gave me, when I was first starting and Angelspit first started taking off, Chris said, the record label's gonna fuck you. Every single record label is gonna fuck you, but the trick is you have to fuck them. Because, thank you, Eliza, Icon, great fucking band, great band. Record labels have knowledge, they have wisdom, they have contacts, they have all of this stuff that they are going to utilize to make you bigger so they can make more money. The objective of the exercise, and record labels guard that shit because that's the true currency. They got it. You have to meet, shake hands, and you have to infiltrate as much of their knowledge as you can. You have to walk away with as much as you possibly can from a record label. And look, 1,000 fucking times, data, absolutely. Thank you, Jen, absolutely. The thing about it is that all of these things are there to make money from you. That's it. They're good at people, and you're probably not. Don't sign. For the love of fuck, don't sign. Unless that thing has a 5-year out. After 5 years, it goes back into your control. Then it became 7 years, and now they're not doing that at all. And yeah, hold on. I see your hand. I want to talk to Ivan first. Ivan, hit me.
Okay, do keep in mind that the bands aren't the product anymore at all.
It's the music?
The listeners are the
Oh,
product.
yeah. Isn't that postmodern? Isn't that mind-blowing? The listeners are the product. Isn't that crazy? That's so true, man. That's so fucking true. Like,
Yeah,
that's...
no ifs, ands, or buts. That because they're free, so they look free, but in the end, the bands aren't the product. The music isn't the product. The people listening are the product now, because you can make a lot more money off of that data, of their habits, than you can on anything else. And music is probably the place where that changed the firstest and the fastest. Because this has been going on since the 90s.
Oh, yeah. But, you're so right. As far as the new, it's all about attention mining. That's the buzz phrase now. But it's fascinating how even music is being used to attention mine. And it's really, No, I won't go there. Hey, are you done? Because you're welcome. This is a good rant. Are you sure? Do you promise?
Go for it.
Okay, if you have more, I want to hear it because you have these little gems. Hey Brett, can I just ask? I'm looking at this. Thank you so much for dropping I shared the link. Is this about Wrapped or is this actually about, because it says Wrapped as opposed to the pitching? Because
Yeah.
Amazon, does this,
This particular article here is about Wrapped.
okay,
So I'm sorry, it's about Delivered, is the name of it, and it's the take on Spotify Wrapped. So
okay,
what it means though is that Amazon is directly targeting offerings to compete with. So you absolutely have that thing that you're talking about. You had a different term for it. It came from cyberpunk or whatever, but
yeah,
it's absolutely a competing product. And so, yeah, if you look at then, what Amazon's holdings are in terms of media, streaming video, streaming everything, news deployment, all that good stuff,
yeah.
it would make absolute sense. If I were Jeff Bezos and I wanted to take over an industry, I would leverage every tool at my disposal.
Yeah, and make them freer and better. Because what everybody learned from Microsoft is it's got to be free. Like I'm telling you, I will not be at all surprised if Spotify start charging, and they're kind of doing that for their pitch thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because idiots like me keep going, it's worth so much money. And I just want to pick this up. I'm reading it quickly, and it is talking about Wrapped as opposed to the pitching. Spotify already has a pitching thing, but it's doesn't appear to be as strong. I think Spotify's Amazon has the pitching and it's not as strong. Spotify, I think's in at number 4. I'm not sure as far as the things. And also remember, Coca-Cola is huge because it's there. My favorite story, and I'll come back to it. My favorite fucking story ever is that Pepsi had this meeting in their boardroom in Pepsi Central. And they're trying to figure out how they make Pepsi bigger. How do they compete with Coke? And they had a break, and outside the boardroom was a vending machine for Coke. And this is so fantastically ironic. And if Coke was smart, they would have put microphones in it. Is that they had the Coke because it was there. It was right there. And apparently, for the first many, many years, Coke was losing money on the vending machines. They were doing it to establish the product. They were treating it like it was advertising, like it was an advertising thing where you could actually buy the product from. But they were treating it as a loss. Now they've become viable because it's Coca-Cola. It's the thing about Spotify. It's there. All the other ones are there too, but Spotify's just more in your face. I will say again that maybe I should be looking forward to what Amazon are going to be bringing, and all of these other things will be bringing to up the ability to pitch to more people, because more people listening means more royalties for them. Thank you again, Brett. Razi, I'm going to turn my mic off, and it's yours.
You turn your mic back on real soon, hopefully, because this is a quick question just to clarify. We're talking about Spotify. It says Wrapped, which is just a little. There's much more to it than the little card you get that you're supposed to share on social media to advertise Spotify for them. What's the competition for? What's the profit motive, and what's the product that they're creating
now,
to compete?
Amazon have a thing that you can share on social media so that you can promote them for you. The way you put those words together were excellent. I can't match it. But yeah, Brett, you could verbalize.
Yeah. So literally, I just ran across it, but this appears to be the TechCrunch article that I found. Yeah, you're right, Razi. This is Amazon Music launches 2024 Delivered its take on Spotify Wrapped. So yeah, this particular article is talking about that. But the point I was making is that it goes to the greater point that it does appear that Amazon is targeting, if you will, Spotify, at least their business models, and trying to assimilate them.
So, but their business model is to not make any money ever and just draw in venture capital.
Well,
Spotify's. I mean, unless they have a business model that we don't know about that they're actually angling for. We're not in the boardroom, so who the hell knows? But that's weird. I don't get what the connection is. I think also that there's an absence of a famous figurehead at Spotify to hate, and there's a cool revolution against CEOs right now. So there's a little bit of a vacuum there, and Bezos doesn't even operate Amazon anyway, so I don't know like what the hell he has to do with it other than he's got more money than he needs, and there's a
We
problem
need
with
someone
that.
to hate.
Yeah, no, I think that's important. I think having either a figurehead or a practical actual target are both useful in different ways, but I'm trying to figure out like
I agree.
why the fuck are we
agree.
advertising for Spotify? I didn't send around the thing. Carl, you said not to. I'm like, I didn't. I mean, I shared it with a couple friends. I was like, hey, I got some plays. I did stuff this year, but I didn't want to put that as on my own timeline. That they could put that on their timeline. I don't
Yeah.
know. This is confusing and frustrating, and I feel like I'm gonna like read a lot about it this week and learn something, and then by next week we'll be on to a different
Yeah.
evil CEO that probably got unalived by a revolutionary.
Maybe we just need to say, That's all we have to say. Thank you. No, that's really great. What you just said was really important. Also remember that one of my things about it is never let people know your numbers. This is fucking poker. You mustn't let them know your numbers.
Honestly, that's one of my biggest criticisms with Spotify is the vanity number that they put right next to it. It's insulting. For
That's the
everybody
list.
involved.
That's the followers and not listeners. And they changed that, by the way. They changed it from listeners to followers. No one else. I agree. Hey, Alex, we miss you. How's the pizza? Yeah, and that's. Don't let people know your numbers. Do not let them know your numbers. Just don't. Fucking Saibotsu 101. Saibotsu. I'm probably saying that wrong. Also, FYI, Pandora. If you haven't owned your Pandora, if you haven't claim Pandora, claim Tidal, claim Apple Music, and claim Amazon. And 5 bitches, 5. Claim them. It's a pain in the dick, but do it. It will take a couple of days to process and blah, 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 but just do it. Think of it as real estate on a cesspool that no one gives a shit about. Fucking just do it. Pandora, they have a thing called AMP, and Pandora are actually trying. Like, Pandora are kind of like the cool kids from wherever cool kids hang out these days, and they're trying really hard to do something cool, and they're not. Good on you. They are trying, although they're paying crap. But in fact, I don't even think they're in the top 10 anymore. I'm not sure. But there are people who, maybe they're also our people who are listening on Pandora. But they have a thing called AMP, and to access AMP will allow you to push out its crap. I actually did AMP, and I increased it in double digits. Like, actually 30 people more heard it. And it's not worth the return on investment, man. This is the really shit thing, is that this is why Spotify sucks, is that you can go from 20 plays to 2,000 plays in 2 months if you play Spotify correctly. If you pitch, you can do it. And that has a rollout effect. As Spotify grows, the other ones grow too. And anyway, Raziel, I see your hand.
Yeah. There's echoes of streaming being like radio, and of course there's echoes of it also ate physical sales. So it's a weird situation, but it's always been a means to an end. Radio's never paid big, except for the relationships between stream radio and labels, maybe. As an artist, it's always been a way to do the next thing and way to sell your merchandise and way to get your profile raised for licensing. And it's worth it to spend on that if you've got the kind of large budget to make one of your projects hit. But it has never been really reliable to spend your entire budget to make your one project hit. And that's the big thing with, like, you've been talking about, don't sign with a label or do if they're going to do something for you. That is the thing that a label can do for you still, if they have a few projects and a budget to do that kind of shit to spend around, but you're still not the priority. You're one of the ones that may or may not hit. So I guess what I'm wondering, Carl, is you do talk about what it's worth to put these efforts into marketing or relationship management or whatever exactly it is with, let's say, Spotify, a streamer. I feel that there's a gap between what almost all independent artists can expect as a return, like making money from streaming numbers, and what huge relationship consolidated corporate interests that have direct relationships with Spotify to increase the amount that they get in mechanical royalties for the masters that they own. They make a lot more money than we do for every stream, and they get a lot more streams, and they also own the company, so they can put it in front of people to get more streams. What are you actually seeing, Carl, in the reality of, like, effort you're doing makes a profit? Does that exist in streaming? And I can clarify if that's just too many words.
Okay, yeah. My internet is kind of scathing, so I got bits and pieces of what you just said. So thank you. This is a great question. And Brent, I just put a Zybotsu down there, and you'll see that I've been using the word wrong. I don't care. Today is the day of inventing truths. Look on Reggie's face right now. Anyway.
You know that's my favorite thing. Just make sure.
I know, inventing truths. Okay, this is great. This is great. In order for you to do this, you can't think of, that, I'm worth this much money now. You can't think like that. My songs are worth this much money. You can't think like that. What you need to think about is the product, from my perspective, is growth itself. Not how much growth or who's doing or who's buying or all this shit. It's growth itself. If you play more, if you go out and play live more, will your Spotify plays exponentially grow? It's a question, and I don't know the answer. I don't know. I mean, logic would say that it would. I guess for me, because it's almost all I have now, is to push Spotify, to push streaming. I should start saying streaming. Because that's where my band exists. It's funny, today is brought to you by William Gibson. It really is. It's a very new romantic day, shall we say. That's that. I didn't answer the question. It's such a hard question. This is a huge question. I spend 80% of my time doing administration, myself personally. A lot of that is going into promoting, pushing, pitching my music. How much of that works, I don't know, but it is definitely... See, the thing about it is that if I stop doing Angelspit and Ice Planet music right now, there will be this very nice gradual decline. It will get to a point and then it will stop. And that stop is this big here. I don't know how big that is. But it will then probably simmer along because there are certain songs that are always going to be on playlists and blah, blah, blah. If I push regular, I will make that. And so naturally we're going down. If I push, it's going to stay normal. If I really fucking push, it's going to grow. I pushed so fucking hard last year and my plays were down across the board. And I'm not talking about income, was about 20%-ish. And I will put that down to Ice Planet. No, Ice Planet was about the same. Oh no, it was up. I think it was up. Angelspit was down because I didn't release an album and I had stopped doing the singles. Even though I am releasing a remix album, that popped it up a bit. But the singles, because there were no releases, it was down. And it doesn't matter how much you push shit if there's nothing to push. So I think from my perspective, the entire industry is changing because where I used to sell CDs all year round, I now predominantly sell them around the release. Do you remember how I was talking about the Attack, Decay, Sustain release of the marketing? It's like that with releases as well. And I'm seeing a sharper decline in the Attack is kind of still pretty good. And the release has got, it's becoming a faster release time. So that envelope is becoming more brutal. And the sustain is lower. So that's what's going on there. Didn't answer the question at all.
You're talking in the right direction, though, and there's still new information that you're sharing, and I appreciate it. But there's this circular bit where we're talking about streaming as a profit center and a promotional channel because it is both, and it makes it very confusing to. I'm not worried about tracking ROI on exactly how many hours you spend promotion. I know we did pain in the dick. I love the phrase. The promotion is all consuming, and it's tentacles out to everywhere. It's not just trying to pitch to Spotify every time you put a thing out. It's making posts and social and making new material, and it's all promotional. But radio promotion specifically, I don't know what a label budgeted for that. I don't know what a band management budgeted for that. I'd have to ask some people.
In the olden days?
Yeah, when radio promotion mattered. Yeah. No, definitely. But is it 10% of their expected profit? Is it 50% of their expected profit? Those are very different amounts. Or is it 90% and you're only making, markup kind of things because it's more like a retail? Who knows? Somebody knows and I could ask them. Maybe I shall. But the point that I was sort of really curious for you wasn't so much like how much do you spend literally, but like how do we resolve that regarding streamers as the profit center and also the promotional channel in that way, because they want to take money back from the profits they're sending us to let us spend more on promotion. And that's a little bit insidious, and it's kind of part of the fucked we're getting from the CEOs are bad perspective. That's a big part of it. In that literally, let me just put that clearly, Spotify will send mechanical and publishing royalties for using our music, and they will also take to reduce that amount that they're going to send to your distributor that gets sent to you by offering you promotion. And that's pretty insulting, but also works really well. Because Carl, you started it out by saying some of the things that you can do with Spotify give you a 10x. And it doesn't cost you the 10x. It might only be costing you 0.1, or some small amount. But it's a weird place to be in to talk about the profit income from streaming royalties. So yeah.
Also, the Spotify thing is free. All the Spotify pitching I'm talking about is free, and that yes, and yes, but they don't see Spotify. Is it like, I don't know the percentage of how much they pay you per that the next one down pays you. I think it's like half of what Tidal pay you or something. But when you get 20 times more play than Tidal, dude, that's corporate fucking rent 101, and it's shit, but it is.
Yeah.
And hey man, when it comes to Spotify, thank you. So this is another really fantastic thing that doesn't answer your question as well. So you're going to spend all of this time promoting shit, where you could really be making more music. And I think, as usual, we come back to, and I'm going to kind of pull in the what we were talking about before, as far as like the artificial intelligence thing, is that an AI isn't going to sit back at the end of the day, crack open a beer and go, oh, fuck, that's a good song. I just wrote a good song. And I just, sure, if we have that, if we go down that terrifying sludgy tunnel of speculation, because it is, it comes back to, what the fuck are you doing with your life? And for me, at least, I'm speaking on my behalf here. I can't... I'm on the fucking planet to make music. I'm not on the fucking planet to make money. Not many people outside who we're talking to right at this very minute get that. But you got to pay your rent. Or you got to have something to fall back on. My advice to new musicians is, do not have anything to fall back on, because you will. And those things to fall back on, they're not 40-hour-a-week jobs. They're fucking 60 hours a week. Welcome to the fucking 21st century. Blah. Music is a religious, spiritual, fervent pursuit. It fucking well is. So it must become that. And I don't have an answer to, and it's such a good question. And because every week the answer changes. Like for the Ice Planet 9000 gig last time, I promoted the fuck out of that gig. And no one from my feed was there. 2 people came because they heard about it on a website that I published it to. But all of my screaming at social media didn't really yield anything. Maybe one person was there. I don't know who that was. But every single person was there. I knew that they were there because I had told them personally. And my plays have now gone up massively on Angelspit and Ice Planet 9000. And that also has a lot to do with Frank, because everybody loves watching Frank. But how that's hitting the, how that's affecting sales, all that shit, I don't know. Because, exactly what you said, man, what I'm doing, I work for Instagram. I work for Spotify. They don't pay me. They pay me in this fake currency of, people saw my thing. That's the drug-induced, addictive thing that I get from them. Meanwhile, do you understand what I mean by that? When I say, my post with Frank on my synth got 1,200 views. Oh, yay. That's my payment. My payment is possibly, and maybe people go, yeah, Angelspit. Whether they do anything about that or not, I don't fucking know. I don't think they will, or a slither of a slither of a slither will. But my point is that I work for these corporations now. I am not paid by these corporations to work in the industry of attention harvesting. I harvest other people's attention for however much time is between one thumb swipe and the next. That's fucking it. And I am paid accordingly. That's fucked. That is fucked. And the one that's dealing the cards out as to who sees what is a fucking AI. That's fucked. Like that is, and wow, William Gibson, you never thought of that one. Like, holy shit, man. So I don't know. I guess my payment will be on my deathbed going, well, I didn't waste my life completely. I'm going to leave some music around behind me. But I don't even know that. So I do this because I got to do something with my anger. But that's not answering your question. I know you do too, but Um, thank you. I once again, I just totally didn't answer the question. I'm sorry. Um, do you want to prompt me again, or should we throw it to Brett?
I think you've answered it enough in enough ways that I'm satisfied, because like we're not sharing numbers here, because Kobayashi Maru, their corporate seppuku, whatever the thing is that everybody's defining and sharing the actual word for, but it gives me something to think about every week, and I'm going to let it dwindle or go, and hopefully Brett has some more to add about that, like on that same angle, or maybe something different, because yeah, it's stultifying. It's difficult stuff to even get an answer or question out on for me. So,
And thank you. And just before I throw it to you, Brett, Adam's in the in the comments typing like a mad guy. I love it, man. Some of the shit here is fantastic. Yeah, I mean, Adam, you say all these things are all these things are ways for talentless middlemen to exploit the musical dream. Yes, I agree. But it's the thing about it is that musicians can't. If left to their own devices, musicians couldn't do it as well as these can. Some could, but others couldn't. And it's really funny how there is a correlation between how good somebody is at creating music, producing music, making music, amazing, beautiful music, and their ability to talk to people. And it's kind of like this. It's like people who make the most fucking amazing music I've ever heard cannot promote themselves for shit. They don't want anyone to hear it, and they can't fucking deal with it. The two most talented composers I've ever met. And then the more they can get up front and fucking bang that pot and say, hey, everybody, look at me, the more kind of, their music gets. Best artists suck at people. Yes, they do. But anyway, Adam, thank you. And Liz, thank you. And Eliza, thank you. I'm loving this. I'm going to shut up now. Brett, the floor's yours.
So I had a little bit of a thought, about something else you were saying there. You were talking about like the attack, sustained decay of monetizing and everything else. When you put out a record, you're trying to get that thing to bump up and get some return out of it. And my thought was maybe, part of what has changed that has been the entire landscape of self-publishing in and of itself. The record labels are gone, so is the artificial scarcity that they brought. And now you've got this flood of anyone can do it. And some are going to be exceptional at it, but most are going to be mediocre, and so I was thinking that, no matter which way you cut it, just because you have that inflow, that massive inflow at this point, that it kind of forces the market to have to change.
You just said something extremely important, and I thank you. I want to throw this to Raziel, and then I'm going to hijack this.
Yeah, it was just real quick. I think one of the major things that changed is you can't make a few bucks selling physical goods with the music anymore. That's just disappeared entirely. And it didn't happen totally recently or anything, but it definitely completely disappeared as a way for not even middle class artists to make a few bucks without, yeah, I mean, you could distribute stuff at retail, and even when digital music sales were a thing, you could distribute at retail and make a few bucks, and streaming doesn't provide that. That is, I think, one of the biggest cliffs for the small artists.
Thank you. Oh, wow. It's horrible opening that can of worms. Because like, for example, my immediate thought was Patreon, and Jesus, thank you, Patreon supporters. But Patreon are taking a hell of a cut, and now Apple Music, Apple's taking a hell of a cut of Patreon, and then PayPal's taking their cut, and then the credit card companies are taking their cut. It's fucked. It's just how it is. If there was a way, that we could be moving between P2P that wasn't fucking Bitcoin, because that's so fucking volatile. That would be great, like Venmo or something. I don't know, but and I was thinking this as well, like, how can you go directly to people? Because every single band I have ever seen who does this, excuse me a minute, if it works, it only works for a short period of time. Attack, decay, then you're gone. Anyway, yeah, well, Angelspit used to do everything from a website, which is still there. But, oh man. Anyway, and also congratulations. We just hit 100 chats. Thank you today. If I may, yeah, Rezi, go.
I just wanted to note real quick that one of the things, though, like streaming is great for listeners. It's amazing for the consumer. And I can't complain about that. As a music listener, I'm fucking psyched for it. It's just, it's a weird place to be that you can't do peer-to-peer stuff anymore because of it. It really intermediated between every listener and every band unilaterally, like crazy. Bandcamp excluded in some ways. But yeah, that's all.
All comes back to the Frank Zappa quote of, if you want to make money, the best way to make money is to make money out of the best way to make money out of music is to make money out of the suckers who think they're going to make money out of music. I hate you for that, Frank Zappa, but you're right. There was a trend in the 90s of starting your own label where bands would start, and it was where indie labels were really indie labels because it had one band on it and then they'd sign their friends. And what would happen usually is once they started signing other bands, they'd collapse because they didn't have the knowledge, the funding, or the infrastructure to actually be able to support bands on another band on a long-term thing. And Dave, the bass player, who was the guy who said, okay, let's start a label, couldn't do anything anymore because he was too busy starting a label. And so many rooms of his house and under his bed were full of his CDs and other people's CDs too. And here's our issue is that Spotify happened, Patreon happened, because disgruntled musicians said, we need to do something. So they did. And what happened is, well, maybe not Spotify, I don't know, but I'm just going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Actually, no, fuck that guy. What happened is that these things became big, and as they got big, they started to need more backing from people who would make money to be able to support the structure that they were, as is the nature of the beast, so people could reach more people. Did that make sense? That if your band is reaching, see you go with music, well look man, I'm outputting the same digital thing, so theoretically all I have to do is just release these things and 1 million people buy it. It's not like that, because you need to reach those 1 million people. You need to tell them that it's there. You need to break through the noise of everything else that's going on. And for 10 people, if you want to fill a 40-seat black box theater in Hollywood, that's a lot of fucking work, let me tell you. But if you want to start streaming your music or getting it to people, like, you need to be marketing brilliant, or you need a marketing person who you're paying full-time, 80 to 100 grand a year, to be able to make you do that. And maybe that's what we should be doing. But I don't know. Here we are. And this is the point that I think musicians always get to at the end of each cycle. Because like at the end of the 70s, there was the 60s died. Then it kind of like early 80s, very early 80s, all that wild shit that was happening in the 80s was happening because record labels said, we don't know what the fuck to do. So we're just going to put out Come Dancing. We're going to put out all this weird fucking shit. Oh, here's some weird synth bands. Well, that's stick to the wall because disco's dead. Punk didn't do what we thought it would do. Fuck, what do we do? Okay, cool, that works. Then Stockache and Waterman happened, and that whole thing fucking collapsed. Then the 90s grunge thing happened, and that collapsed, and all these indie bands started setting up, and they charted. They were getting fucking Grammys. And, oh, wow, indie's the way to go. So Sony starts buying out these indie things and keeps the indie label, but makes them subsidiaries of Sony, same as Warner and EMI and everyone. Then Napster turns up, and everything fucking collapsed. And then from Napster getting sued to shit by Metallica, and in the words of Gene Simmons, Metallica were the only people who had the guts, and we all should have jumped on the fucking bandwagon when Lars did it. Everything changed. And this is the crazy thing about the music industry, is there is so much fucking money in the fucking music industry that every piece of shit pirate is doing everything to attack every single ship on the fucking seas and take every single fucking ship over. And that's why I will go back to Botsu warfare. Software is great, but music, mate. Music is where the money is. Yeah, thank you, Adam. I have a lot to say about that person. Music is where the money is. Always has been, always will be. Because we're always going to have music. We always have, we always will. And if I'm banging two stones together in my cave, I'm going to think, the people in that range over there, in that cave, they might want to hear my stone banging music too. Maybe they're stoners. That involves effort, but I couldn't be fucked leaving my cave and crossing the dinosaurs. And then Ugg turns up and says, well, I can take your stone banging music over to them. And all it'll do, it'll cost you this. Should I shut up now? Let's go. Go. Rezi, pull me out of this.
I like the phrase, music's where the money is. I think spiritually it resonates, like it certainly is money. It's not the cash kind a lot of the time. But to expand on it, like streaming's not where the money's at. Getting one song placed because you wrote it and own the publishing isn't really where the money's at. A sustainable career over decades is still the pain in the dick stuff that you're talking about, and it has nothing to do with music. You do the music, hopefully there's 1,000 people that think you do the music well enough to think it's good. That's the table stakes. But the rest of it is the pain in the dick stuff that you're always talking about, and lamenting whether or not 0.001% or 0.00125% from the different streamers is going to make the difference, or 10x of 0.001% on 1,000 streams is going to make the difference. Like, yeah, these are important, but the real thing is the work, the pain in the dick, the making the music, the grind, and the multiple revenue streams, the different ways to have music be where the money is, because the music and the money, film industry makes a lot of money from people going to see films. They also spend a lot on using music written by people who own the songs, and they'll spend some money. You do that 10 times, you do that 100 times, you got a career. The touring industry, people spend a shitload of money on tickets to see a show. But, going to play one show this year, who would do a thing like that? Or maybe two. Carl, do 2 shows. Now do 3. And you've got the pain in the dick of learning to play your instrument, rehearsing it, writing the songs, putting it together, producing the show, staging it, and mounting the actual performance and the venue, and then promoting it. And each of these things every single time. And that's why I've only named 2 things so far, the film industry and the touring industry, as ways of money coming from people who are doing things through another industry like trucking and Teamsters and riggers unions to the artists. And I know it sounds convoluted and it sounds like I'm talking about 7 different things there, but you getting up on stage, you writing that song is the catalyst, it's the moment, it's the thing that made all that happen. And the pain in the dick stuff of networking and putting yourself into those revenue streams, man, it's a lot. And I think the reason, Carl, it's been cool to hear you talk about it is you do get into that every time I try to talk about one of these things in specific. You talk about the work, you talk about the effort that it takes to keep track of where it even makes sense to apply pressure. And, if anything, I'm just trying to push that back to push the focus away from, if you're going to make money from doing 10x streams on Spotify this year, to you're going to own the behaviors, not the New Year's resolution to do more, but the lifelong behavior of continuing to do it and maintaining a day job if you need to pay for health insurance and buy groceries, because you got to do music. You're addicted to it. and we're trying to keep is the word pernicious people that Frank Zappa's talking about from preying on you and extracting more money than really needs to be extracted from you. And you can have your integrity and you can make your art and you can maybe feed a small group of people for dinner because you did a gig or, whatever. Like these are the dreams and these are the things you're going to do anyway. I don't have anything really to sum that up with. These are just the thoughts that sort of have been circling around.
Okay.
The bigger picture being the work. Thank you.
This is turning into therapy, and I'm okay with that. And I'm reading a lot of what's going on in the chats, and I'm really grateful. Remember that how you're feeling about this, all of you. When I say you, everybody is feeling this way, and I believe that people who have a memory of what it is to know the smell of a CD when you first open it, to flip through a CD booklet, to remember that smell, to remember that tactile response to what music is. I bought Bowie's Outside the other day. I just went, fuck it, I'm buying. I went down to Amoeba, which is at the bottom of my block. Amoeba is fucking full. I waited in line for 20 minutes with people full of vinyls, and I didn't know half the bands that were in those vinyls. So, and I'm blessed to be at Amoeba, and yes, Amoeba is a corporation, but everybody who works in there is getting paid more than minimum wage. They have okay insurance, and they've got dreadlocks. Fuck yeah. And so music, people are still doing it. My point is that I really solemnly believe that your audience have the same intellect, the same anger, the same everything that you do. Everybody here are listening, giving a shit. So know that you're not alone, and know that the effort that is really hard to do will be appreciated, and people will appreciate that effort. And fuck, I need to keep telling myself that. And it's in this time we're living in where everybody is so broken because everybody is screaming at you. Oh, you have to do this, you have to do this, blah, 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 blah. No, you have to do your thing. I don't give a flying fuck about AIs. I can't say that enough. In my lifetime, I am never going to read, I'm confident of this, I will never read an AI being able to generate Angelspit lyrics and me go, yeah, okay, that's good. Never. It will not fucking happen. Because computers do not have the ability to slap together hate, cynicism, bullshit, and fuck you. They can't do it. And I've read people saying, oh, hey man, I generated AI lyrics for Angelspit. And it's like, they sound like KMFDM lyrics. They're dumb. Fuck, I'm sorry. Oh, I better edit that out. And it sounds absolutely like nothing like Angelspit. I don't give a flying fuck. Or fucking Frontline Assembly where ashes are still falling from the fucking sky. Who gives a shit? So I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care. As far as I'm concerned, this shit is just another fucking fad that's up there with pitch shifting. I don't fucking care. Next. Yes, there is lots of money in music. There is lots and lots and lots and lots and lots. But we ain't seeing it. And that's how it's always been. And I was thinking that in the 70s and 80s, there was this big fucking shit fight when I was in uni in the early 2000s, aging myself, about how musicians get paid shit. If your CD sold for $20 in the shop, musicians were getting $1. Oh, this is fucking preposterous. And then they did this breakdown of where the money was actually going. Oh, it's preposterous. Yes, it is preposterous. Yes, it is bullshit, but that's how it is. And it's interesting, with the adventation of Bandcamp, fuck you, Bandcamp, instead of a musician getting $20 per CD, maybe you'll get 10, maybe. You get, I could talk about, you get more royalties out of fucking streaming than you do out of radio, but no one wants to hear that. Like fucking 20 times more. No one wants to hear that. Anyway, something that a chat that was having here about a musician who's really fucking amazing and blah, 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 blah. In Australia, we call it the gift of the gab. Somebody who can talk themselves up and can blow their own trumpet. That's fucking great. And it is a gift. And it's to be your own cheerleader, I believe is the saying in the United States. Unfortunately, a lot of musicians are not their own cheerleaders. And it doesn't matter how many cool books you put in front of them, they're not going to do it because they don't have that ability, and that's fucking fine. Unfortunately, that's where record labels and other pieces of shit who are going to steal your money and fuck you over come into it, who are going to help you get your music to other people just because they're getting a buck out of it. Unpopular view. When does it make sense to apply pressure? When does it make sense to stop applying pressure? Because you said something that I thought was really brilliant, and that is, when do you go, okay, I don't think this is working? It really is pulling the lever to get a fucking treat, isn't it? It really is. This is addictive gambling. Because like, if I keep pulling this lever, oh my God, I got 1,000 plays. Holy shit, keep pulling that lever. Nothing. It looks like I'm masturbating right now into a shoe. Just had to tie it back. Pulling that lever, pulling that lever, pulling that lever, I got another 1,000 views. That, ladies and gentlemen, is gambling. That is now an addictive fucking response. And you know what? Maybe it is kind of addictive. I don't know. But at what point do you say, you know what, I've been pulling the lever on this fucking pokey for long enough. I'm training it. What do they call it when you're training a pokey? They sit there pumping money into it because any minute now, because of the randomization of gambling, you're going to get a payout. Is it the same fucking thing with streaming services and everything? Is it fucking hope? Is it fucking, musicians are cursed with hope. Oh my God. At what point do you sit down and go, you know what? Fuck this. What would happen if I just organically let it happen? God damn it. You know, and I'll just flip in also, like, for this second gig, I'm trying to not pimp the holy crap out of it like I did last time to see what happens, because there's this thing called the curse of the second show. And that is, if the first show was good, the second show sucks. Because the first show you had no confidence, you're going in, you're nervous, so your brain is working at optimum, get yourself out of this fuck up mode. But in the second show, it's going to work, it's going to be okay, your brain's not there. Boom, you fall over. When problems show up, your brain's not ready. That made no fucking sense. What makes sense is tenacity. And maybe that's the thing. And I know that my gift is tenacity. That's why I do what I do constantly. Maybe it's not just a hopeless gambling addiction of pulling this fucking thing, wondering how long it's going to be before it pays out. Maybe it's tenacity. But it's such an interesting question. I don't know when does it make sense to stop applying pressure? Raziel, what are your thoughts on this or anything?
Still related to what you were just talking about, but not quite that. There's probably, it's a pretty simple graph to draw for how many units of an album you need to sell when you're making $1 and they're retailing for 20 versus if you didn't sign away any rights and you own the masters and you own the songs entirely and you can just sell it to a person and you're making like $15 or so on the $20 sale. And it's a lot of units that you need to sell at that lower rate. But that is what I think you sign away a piece of your profits to have them do. And the labels believe that they can sell 1 million instead of 1,000. And at that kind of, the graph definitely crosses someplace below 1 million, probably below 10,000. So maybe it's easier math than I'm thinking, but I'm not a numbers guy. Big picture.
Okay, I really appreciate that. See, this is another really fascinating thing about a label is that musicians, and Adam, you just nailed it. I make music for me, everything else is gravy. Yes, that's absolutely true. And that to a degree is the curse of the music and the musician, is that that's what most musicians think. That's kind of what I think. I'm with you, mate. But the problem is that when you pull a label into it, the label is looking at it from, oh, well, I'm worth this much money an hour, so I'm going to be making this much an hour. That's what they're looking at. Labels, when they start, go, oh yeah, no, I'm doing it for the love of it. I'm doing it for the love of it. But baby, let me tell you that very quickly that goes away, because it's not their music. It's not their thing that is making, there's not enough payout for them. And that's human nature, and that's fine. So I don't know why, and I don't know how, and I don't know how to fix this. All I can say is keep fucking going, keep being tenacious, and keep stirring your pushing your shit through ship through the seas of ice. That's another Neuromancer reference there, ice. That's not drugs, by the way. It's something else. Just keep pushing your boat through, because what we have now will inevitably end, because it always does. Music's always, there's always these fucking chosen bits of shit. No, ICE was actually like these kind of like virus mines that were set up in the cyber field when they'd go into a Soibotsu to try and rob them. And they had these ice, and you had to dodge the ice. And they couldn't see the ice sometimes, and ice was full of viruses and computer baddies.
Does it be like black ice?
Well, yeah, look at it on your, I put a link there. I forgot so much of this shit. But if you look at it on the, Neuromancer is an incredible book. Fucking amazing. I listened to it. And I don't remember most of it because I hate reading. Incredible book, and there's just the concepts of it. It's really fascinating, and it's really fascinating looking at from somebody who, in the mid '80s, when music was, when the internet was just coming out, was looking forward to it, like predicting and fantasizing about this cyberpunk thing, to what it actually became. And that's the fascinating thing for me. I'm reading the comments. Yeah, no, sure. Yeah, so that's that. I feel like we haven't really ended. No, the hopeful note is be tenacious, be a stubborn fucking bastard, and keep fucking going. Because if people say, I don't know, it means you're doing something right. It means you're taking a risk, and they're freaking out, because music is risk. Holy shit, I need to tell you guys about, I did an interview yesterday, it blew my fucking mind, and I'm allowed to talk about it, but first I want to hear Rezi.
No, maybe we should hear about that, because I was
No.
topic.
This is going to go off the topic. I want to hear what you had to say.
I don't have anything to add to this
Okay.
one. I was going to talk about something else while we've got Adam. I think this one's for him.
Okay, I'll be quick, then we'll talk about this one.
Yeah.
So yesterday with LA Opera, because I do their podcasts, they interviewed the person. I don't know if you've seen the Maria Callas movie with Angelina Jolie yet, but the person who was there, it's on Netflix and everyone's freaking out about it. The person who trained Angelina was is one of the LA Opera crew, and we interviewed her yesterday. And if you don't know, Maria Callas is one of the greatest opera singers ever. Like, holy shit. If you want to talk about a human being giving everything to music, Angelina, Miss Jolie, hadn't done any singing training at all. And they had to get her from somebody who's never really done any singing, not even really much karaoke, to Maria Callas in 6 months. And they said, there's no way we can fucking do this. And they did it. Now, the crazy thing about this movie is that, and this is coming from a vocal coach who is standing behind the camera, making eye contact with Angelina as she's singing, as she's doing, like she was there. A lot of the shit that's going on, it was live. because normally you record it and then you do a voiceover or you get someone else to sing it. It was recorded on the set. And yeah, it was like, and she was just saying how, you know, in the opera world, you become to the state of Maria Callas because you are a gifted freak of nature who is Yoda. In this ability that your throat is shaped, your tenacity, your mind, everything about you is absolutely focused on this thing, and you become world class. And she said, Jolie has the same thing, but it's acting. And there was a moment, she said, where Maria Callas was a very gentle, delicate woman who took no fucking shit. And there was a moment on the set where Miss Jolie became that person. And that's where the vocal coach went, she's got it. She's got it. She became Callas. So I don't know. Apparently it's pretty terrifying because Maria Callas's life was terrifying. And it's pretty intense. But if you hear people saying, she minded, she didn't sing it. No, she fucking sang that. And for me, it wasn't really about that. It was about a reminder of the tenacity, a reminder about the focus, a reminder about the importance of just, because one thing I wanted to talk about today was I normally get up at 5 a.m., but due to the influence of somebody in my life, and I won't mention his name, it's hard for me to get up at 5 a.m. because sleep. But I have to start getting up at 5 a.m. again to make music between 5 and 8, 9 in the morning. Those 3-4 hours, I get so much music work done. And because I haven't done that for like a month or 3, I can see just the turmoil of it. So tenacity. Razzie, I'm going to throw it to you now.
Yeah, I want to go back to your hour of power thing, maybe in a little bit too. But if you don't mind me posing a question, vinyl LPs, can we talk about something there for a second? Not selling them. You thought I was going to talk about making them and selling them. That's not where my question's going. But I like your supportive, let's get this show on the road attitude when I start. No, this is, shut it down if you want, but mine don't sound good. What am I doing wrong? Do you have to like align the thing every time? Is my needle bad? Is there too much tracking force? Like, I feel like DJs that are present will know this. I've been playing records since I was 6 years old. It's not like I'm new to it, but like, I don't know. I have 2 turntables, no microphone. And
thank you for that.
of them sound like the top end is all pinched off and distorted. And it's like, I don't know, maybe this supposed to sound that way. Is it supposed
Can
to sound
I
like
ask
ass?
you, is this old records, new records, or records?
They're records of unknown provenance, so it could be destroyed, but it's a particular sound that I keep getting. And every 10 years when I bust out a record player and forget to buy a new needle, top end is all distorted, pinched off, and like really crusty sounding, like harsh, like the high end.
First, I have a theory. I'm going to say something, don't laugh. My Enya record, fuck you. My Enya record is like that because I think it wasn't mastered for vinyl. That's the first thing, was it fucking mastered for fucking vinyl? If not, it's going to sound pooey. And that's why I get worried about buying remasters, because it's got to be mastered for vinyl. It must be mastered for vinyl. Secondly, you might need to change the needle. And funny, Adam isn't chiming in here. Oh, wait.
He's busy looking at KMFDM. I mean, KLF.
Fuck. Let's talk about KLF. When did they start talking about KLF?
He referenced the manual back in
I see the manual
10 minutes ago there, and he was looking for a copy.
So he can burn £1 million, which was ironic. But that's what I'd be doing. Also, it's not just right. I see all these YouTube videos about how to do blah, blah, blah without getting static and everything. And it's like, fuck, man, I give up. I don't know. How does that sound? My vinyl player's a piece of shit and I don't care.
I'll definitely see if I have any like half-speed mastered audiophile quality, decent ones that look like they're going to be good. And I definitely have some from that I bought in 1983 that were high quality and maybe didn't get destroyed. But the suggestion to check out 180 gram audiophile ones, and I definitely have an RAA preamp in there. It's not a lack of the correct EQ curve, and it's not a great one, but I suspect this is just a really familiar particular sound that, like, maybe all my records got destroyed by the same needle and they all sound like that now. Maybe they're all just mastered for CD and somebody just transferred them to the thing and they're too hot and it sounds like ass, Carl, like you said. But I think I've tried it with between 1.5 and 2.5 grams of tracking force, and it's like doesn't really make all the differences. And I also think that it might be cartridge alignment, because it's the inner tracks that sound worse always. So by the time it gets like to the middle of the record and the ellipse is off from a circular arc, it's the worst. So there may be something to that. And I don't think I'm being hypersensitive, because I kind of don't give a fuck about the way it sounds. It's just cool to play the record, but also they do sound like ass. So I'd like to know if I'm doing something wrong.
It's interesting because I feel the same way. I will just say you do have to get two masters. If you're going to do vinyl, you've got to do a specific vinyl master, because as the tracks move closer to the middle of the record, their ability for bass response becomes less, because instead of it traveling this much for one rotation, they're only traveling this much for one rotation. And that's wrong, but you get the thing. And therefore, its ability to replicate bass is harder. Peter Gabriel used to do, and a lot of people used to do all of their the mixing, every single thing for vinyl, so that there was less bass, less like pounding bass as it got closer to the middle of the record. Then you turn it over and there'd be the bangers. That's why the bangers are always on the outside tracks, because that's where it can handle the bass and the needle doesn't jump. I don't know is the answer to my question. I think maybe I should get a new vinyl, but I love my piece of shit vinyl.
What words are you using vinyl to mean as a noun?
Sorry, my record player.
Okay.
My record player. And I will say, Angelspit Records, I paid to get them mastered to sound like dope. And the
I could play one of my own for that comparison and see if it sounds like shit too, but I haven't thought of doing that yet.
Yeah, so if it sounds crap, it's the player. I'm such an arrogant twat. Same with the first Ice Planet 9000 release. It was specifically and only mastered for vinyl. So even the digital versions are the digitals of the vinyl, because that's how wanky and arty we were. Anyway, yeah, thanks, Diana.
There's some good thoughts being shared in the chat too,
Yes.
though. Like the lower volume generally, the lower like average volume, and the less prominent bass and stuff.
Yeah, isn't it
mastering for
amazing?
vinyl.
Isn't it amazing how the medium of an analog thing changes the sound? I was thinking yesterday, because this conversation we were having, in this interview was really, it was like my brain was starting to fire. And I was thinking how when a four-dimensional, like when you imagine music, do you see a three-dimensional sphere, a three-dimensional thing in front of you? Can you visualize a three-dimensional thing?
I would say for me, it's not exactly visual, but it is definitely dimensional.
Yeah.
I feel that.
So a fun thing is, as you're listening to music, instead of seeing a video, and that's great, imagine a three-dimensional object. And that object can be as weird as you want. It can be this very strange moving thing that's moving with the beat or whatever. But the thing is, it's moving. And if you can grasp that concept, and if you can imagine that, you are starting to imagine in 4 dimensions. Because think of this object as a 4-dimensional thing, and time technically is not going to be a dimension here. We could argue that because it's not, but we can argue it. Imagine, because as a 4-dimensional thing moves through a 3-dimensional space, it is an object that changes and moves and warps, because it's a 4-dimensional reflection of a 3-dimensional thing. If you can imagine the music in your mind changing and orbing in a 3-dimensional space, then you are imagining a four-dimensional object. And that is why your fucking brain is whack, because you are working in a four-dimensional art space. That's insane. Like this is black hole shit, man. Brett, what do you think?
Yeah, so you're definitely, I agree with you on the four-dimensional space, especially, you know, especially with a little bit of like, especially where like songs will take you on rides, you know, they're not your, most of your average, you know, pop songs don't take you on all that much, though there are some exceptions, but, you know, the ones that will sit there and like tell you a story or something like that, and you get the same sort of kind of thing you get, you know, from books or movies, you know, where you start, you know, to start feeling certain ways based on the cues. And so you're already ahead in some regards in time from the knowledge you have on the page. And the same sort of thing is, you know, something that I picked up, you know, from you in terms of like, even where it comes to mixing, where I'm not as visual, I do have a visual sense, like I'm like the visual centers in my brain are engaged, but they're not doing visual stuff. They're imagining things in placement, and I'm expecting certain amounts of movements and whatnot, and that's doing interesting things to that part of my brain.
Okay, that's interesting, man. That's really fucking interesting. Like, if anybody else wants to throw in at this point, because this is fascinating shit when you start pulling in different areas of your imagination to create sound, to create it. I know a dude who pulls in smell. He'll talk about, yeah, different smells, different tones, because, you know, smells have got harmonics and all that shit. This guy thinks about music from the perspective of smells.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's cool. I've never actually explored that as a concept. I can say that solidly. Um, Visual, you know, makes sense, you know, because, you know, at the end of the day, you know, most men are very visual. You know, you can sit there and credit, you know, everything, you know, from hunting to reproduction. Um, but so to turn that center off, it's like, you know, in a way, it's like disabling me. You know, like it doesn't matter what I'm actually seeing as much. And a lot of times I'm not really seeing anything, you know. It's like my eyes are moving and I'm looking around, but it's more like I'm chasing a dot that isn't there.
Yeah, that's great, man. That's great. I like that a lot. Thank you. Does anybody else want to jump in on this, or I don't know what the fuck's going on? There's like 3 or 4 different. We got a conversation going in the chat. There's a conversation going in that chat. I can't get on YouTube. If anybody's watching on YouTube for some reason, I'm not. Fucking have to kick this fucking software. Does anybody else have a thing? We might call this pretty soon. Hey, I will be there for the next show in LA. Let me know if anyone wants to go with me. I'm not sure what. Wow, holy shit! You're in LA? I didn't think you were in LA. Wow, we finally get to meet. That'll be terrifying. Yeah, bugger about the YouTube. Okay. Jen, fucking awesome. Please come and say hi. That'd be great. You're gonna fly into LA for that. Wow. Dude, you'll get to see the center. It's pretty awesome. I'll try and introduce you to some really awesome places. Ivan, come. Ryan might be coming. Ryan might be on stage. I'm trying to hook that up. So does anybody else want to throw in anything else? As Frank attacks my chair. Do we want to talk about anything else? Like, we got a few minutes. What are you working on this week? Musically, what are you working on this week?
I've got one that I am trying to choose whether or not I want lyrics to. It can stand alone as an instrumental, and I know if I add lyrics that I'm going to lose that. So but at the same time, I'm hearing like rhythms that I could do with my voice in this thing, and it's an unusually drum and bass style for me. I'm typically more on the metal side of things, but yeah. So that's what I'm working on.
Bloody awesome. Thank you. Razi, how about you?
Trying to put on records and play along with them the whole way through. Just kick back.
That's meditation, honey. That's
I mean, I don't know like licks on every record I own, but it's fun to sort of just like get a tone and sort of jam through the whole thing instead of scrolling or something else.
Thank you. No, that's fucking great. Ivan.
Ambient goodness.
Oh, dude, good for you. Tell me more.
Yeah, well, like I've lended towards that direction a lot lately, anyways. And I haven't made anything that got released in ages now, so like I need to get back on that horse and start riding. And ambient, like intentionally going in an ambient direction
Good for you.
makes sense.
Can I hijack this?
Yeah.
Ivan, what time does your brain work best for putting musical ideas together? As in not being creative, but actually the hard yards of putting shit together.
In the evening.
Okay. Are we talking like 11 p.m. to what, 2 p.m. a.m. evening or when?
Oh, probably like 10 p.m. to 2 a.m.
How can you give yourself that slot of time? 2, 3, 4 days a week. How?
Oh, I'm not sure. I gotta figure that out. Like that, it's all moved around since like the long COVID thing started to end. So I gotta figure it out.
Okay.
Part of the fun is figuring it out.
Yeah, I am with you on that one, baby. I'm with you on that one. Razi, I see your hand. Can I just throw it, Diana? What are you doing? Anything musically with the channel, creative this week?
We are working to put together the MTV TV 4-year anniversary. That'll be in 2 weeks on January 22nd, my birthday. Yeah, that's exciting. So I have to start putting that together, and I might ask the crew for some videos, music videos, maybe.
Oh my God. Hey, Adam, can you? Yes, absolutely. Adam, can you put the link of that double feature in the video? That's a fucking killer double feature, man. Thank you. No, that's great, Diana. Thank you. Razi, your hand went up and then it went down again. Oh, thank you, Adam. Fucking good for you. They have the soundtrack to Liquid Sky at one of the super wanky record shops here. I went in there the other day and they had one of these places in the second-hand place had the original the disc version LP vinyl single of Blue Monday. And of course I went back in there like a day later and it was gone, and it was like really fucking expensive. It was the original cut, which cost them money. That's the great story about it. I fucking love it. So if anyone gives a shit, so I watched that guy who's really angry and opinionated about rock and roll shooting his mouth off about yacht rock. I agree. I think it's the most shitty term ever. But I did drag out my Supertramp and my ELO because I'm loving me some 70s rock. And I actually also pulled up my sister and I made a playlist for Mum on Spotify with a bunch of the music that, Mum used to listen to, like George Benson. Mum had the best fucking choice of music, man. Oh my God. Yellow Brick Road, all this shit. Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Great. And yeah, we were brainstorming all this shit we have to add to it, which was nice. This week, I am kicking out Ice Planet 9000 release number 3, which is now going to streaming. The Kickstarter is, I've got to put that into place because By the time the gig on February 19th, the Kickstarter's got to be live so I can promote it from the show. Secondly, and plus it's a kick in the pants for me. Secondly, there's an Angelspit track I've got to get to mastering. Maybe this week. It's an instrumental. Colin, you rock. There's a May track that's got to go to mastering. There's a May track that I'm doing on the Moog 1. It's really interesting that May's a good writer. May's a solid fucking writer. We work really well together. Anyway, I'm kicking that one around. Still kicking out the Ice Planet 9000 live show. 2 songs are done, ready to perform. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do for live. I don't like as far as visuals go. And part of me, I think I said this last week. I just don't want to. I don't want to have a video. You know, I want to do something different. I don't know. Yeah. Also, fucking T-Rex, man. Holy shit. And that's my week. Trying to get up earlier. Oh fuck! And on Monday, the remix album goes to streaming, and I might also drop it on, release it on Bandcamp. So thank you everybody involved in that. Thank you, Brent. Yeah. So we'll see where that happens. But that's it. Fucking, I have so much admin shit to do Monday. Monday is my admin day. God, I hate admin. But it's got to happen. It's really funny, man. I always look at the amount of admin I do, and it's like, how much of this is needed? And it always comes back to, if I didn't do this shit, people wouldn't hear about the music. Yeah. I don't know. But anyway, tenacity.
You're an entrepreneur.
Sorry?
I said it's kind of like being your own entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You got to do all of the jobs to keep it there.
Yeah. Yeah. You really do. And it's difficult how the environment that you're working in is always changing. And that's what's hard. Yeah, don't fear the Reaper, don't fear the boogeyman. Fucking fear yourself, man, or not, or something, I don't know. I was trying to get deep there, I don't think it worked. Do we want to pull this? Does anybody else have any last minute wisdoms that they want to throw in? Okay. I want to, and Jen, thank you so much for turning up to this gig. If you can make it, email me. Join us here every Saturday, where we're just going to bitch and carry on and figure stuff out. This is made possible with Angelspit's Patreon. If you got $3, help me out, or it's free. Take your pick. The gig is February 19th. And it's going to be bloody great. And there's going to be a bunch of kids from LA Opera there as well. So you get to see Carl's other side. The Industrial Incisions playlist, there it is. It's great. If you have a track, send it to me, Patreon members, and also fucking promote it, for the love of fuck. Wednesday night, Vulture Culture is going to do amazingness, as Vulture Culture does. Razi, again, thank you. Razi's Bandcamp's incredible. The YouTube's insane. The Patreon, support Razi, rockstar.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure so much. You're fucking king. And now we're going to raid to MTV TV. And they've got a Patreon as well. So please, let's keep these guys going. And if you do a stream, always raid to MTV when you're finished. Yay! Hit that raid button. And we're going to hang back here and chat. I have a cat that is looking at me right now, sitting on top of my rig going, bitch, you're going to fucking play with me. He's a big angry guy.
We learned what that meant earlier.
Sorry?
We learned what.
Oh, no. In this situation, I do have to pee, but he's fucking giving me eyes right now. Big fluffy eyes. Because he's a big ball of fluff. Yes. Are we rating? Oh, look, we just rated. Hey, it's Brian. Hey, Brian. Thank you so much for being a part of this, and love and distortion to one another.